Hi, I'm Katie, and this is Pine Tree and Me. Today we're going to talk about Vegas, baby. In this video, we're going to talk about places to eat, kind of the layout of Vegas in general, places you definitely want to see, places surrounding Vegas that also can be good opportunities to visit, places inside of casinos. We're going to talk about different shows that I've gone to. We're also going to give little tips along the way of seasons and weather and budgeting, and other general tips. The very first time that I remember going to Vegas, I was in a 15-passenger van with family, and we stopped in Vegas to see family. And we also stopped on the Strip for like 1 second, and I remember pulling up to the Mandalay Bay and just admiring the gold and being like, wow, this place has to be really, really rich. The second time that I went to Vegas, I went with a group of college kids, once again, in like a 15-passenger van. I think I paid $30 for my portion of the Vegas there and back trip. That was the first time I experienced In-N-Out. And honestly, I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. Everybody was raving about it the whole way there. And then we tried In-N-Out, and I personally was like, meh. But since living in Southern California now and having it many more times, it's great. So definitely try In-N-Out if you can go to Vegas. After that, I passed through Vegas multiple times. Then we went to Vegas on a timeshare thing. We got multiple places of free food and a free show. I do not recommend going to timeshare meetings. However, this one was probably the best one out of a couple that we've done. We ate multiple times near the property at Blue Green. We enjoyed our breakfast, we enjoyed the dinner. But the one standout from that trip was Pampa's Brazilian steakhouse. I highly recommend going to a Brazilian steakhouse if you have never gone. They're such a fun time because they bring a skewer around with different meats and you get to choose what you want, and they typically have a full salad bar as well. Another time we passed through, we stopped at the Fashion Show Mall and ate at Earl of Sandwich, which I believe the Fashion Show Mall had free parking, and that's part of why we chose to go to that place. And another time we went for a 3-day weekend. On our first night, we pulled up to Resorts World Casino, and we just chose to eat at the food court there. Nothing noteworthy. That time we stayed at a Best Western by the airport, and we avoided the Strip during the day, and we mostly just went at night for shows. And on that trip, the standout was Hell's Kitchen. It was definitely a splurge for this particular trip. I wanted to taste the show in action. We went to Hell's Kitchen and we got the prix fixe menu, and I got the beef Wellington, and I believe Chris got the short rib, and we split the sticky toffee pudding at the end. But that was the very first place that I've ever seen someone smoke a cocktail in a box. We did things to help save money on that trip and to help offset the cost of going to Hell's Kitchen, because it definitely is not a budget-friendly place. So I believe we did peanut butter and jam sandwiches when we went to Red Rock. I think we split a grilled cheese sandwich and a hot chocolate at the ski resort at the Mountain Springs. And we ate breakfast at the Best Western near the airport, way outside of the Strip. So our costs of hotel and food choices were much cheaper, with the one exception of that one grandiose splurge dinner. That is how we roll. We try to offset our costs so that we can do something really cool and just, where other meals aren't as important, just try to eat the cheaper options. Sometimes we just kind of go middle of the road the whole time. The last time that we went to Vegas was maybe a little more like that. Still, we splurged on some and went cheaper on some. So, the first one that we went to was Tacos El Gordo, and we definitely got the tacos, but the thing about that place, it is very iconic. There are a ton of people there, so if you are tight on making your show or some other occasion, you better make sure nobody's in the restaurant, or you better just go at a different time. We were a little tight on time because this was the time that we were visiting the Sphere for the first time and we were walking everywhere. So we got in line thinking it wouldn't be a problem, but the line did not move quickly. The tacos, however, were fantastic, and waiting in line was torture because you see the huge spit and this stack of meat, and the meat's juices are just running in front of you the whole time you're waiting in line, and you could just taste it and smell it, and you just can't wait to get a dang taco. So I highly recommend that place, except for when it's busy. Go at a different time. The next place that we went on that trip was Sushi Samba. It was sushi, but it was also a mix of Brazilian and Japanese and other cuisines. Parts of it, I really enjoyed the sushi and thought the sushi was affordable. Other parts, we tried a skewer and I felt like that was a bit overpriced for the meat not being super tender. However, overall, it was very delicious and it was just a fun time with friends, and it was after the Sphere. It was a very convenient location from the Sphere, so recommendation wise, I would definitely recommend the place because it was good service and close to the Sphere. However, price point, there are other alternatives that I feel like you could spend a little bit less if you are on a budget. The last place I ate now is one of my favorite places that I've eaten in Vegas, in part because this was a first for me. I had never tried Ethiopian food and I had been wanting to, and I knew that when you go to big cities, you get good food options. And so Ethiopian food, I looked up restaurants. We ended up at Lucy Ethiopian Restaurant off Strip. Manager came around and made sure we were really taken care of. It helped explain to us through the language barrier that we had with the waitstaff, and he helped us try a massive platter of both veggie and meat options so that we would know for the first time. He also came back multiple times to explain what they were so we knew what we were eating. And for a first time of Ethiopian food, it was a lot of fun, and he was really a wonderful tour guide of our meal. And so go give them some love and support and go try Ethiopian food. And they do not use silverware, so that is why we are using the bread in the film to eat with our hands and wrap the meat or the chickpea or the lentil with our hands with the fermented bread. New flavors, totally loved it. I highly encourage people when they go to big cities to try international food because typically it is off the chain. Whether you're in Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York City, Chicago, Las Vegas, and other big cities, typically they become hubs of international cuisine. And you get to try flavors you never imagined trying, and just go out and try, because you can get a burger any day of the week in the United States. There's a million burger joints. But can you get Ethiopian food? Las Vegas or Sin City or America's Playground is notorious. Even when I lived in another country, people knew of New York City, Hollywood, and Vegas. Vegas for a long time has been synonymous with casinos and slots and gambling and wedding chapels, nightlife, and live shows and entertainment. It's also luxury hotels and street artists and theme park rides, all smushed into a strip that's 4.2 miles long. It starts with the "Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas" sign on the southern end and pretty much ends at the Strat at the northern end. But the funny part about the Las Vegas Strip is most of it is not actually in the city of Las Vegas. It is mostly in Paradise and Winchester. Las Vegas has about 2.4 million people. That is a lot of people. It is a very big city. Las Vegas is also very friendly to multiple modes of transportation, which is probably good considering all the things that go on in Vegas. But you can definitely bike, walk, you can take your own car, although parking can get a little tricky or expensive depending on where you will be. They have a city bus and they have a monorail, and they also have Uber and Lyft. So you should be able to find transportation in Vegas when you are there. One of the shorts I did this week was based on cool things inside of casinos. So now I want to talk about casinos because that is a massive part of Vegas. And there are tons, and there are some really cool things to see inside, things that I haven't even seen inside all of them. And I don't know, it would take a really long time probably to be able to see everything that they do to attract visitors to their casino to give you these amazing experiences and cool photo opportunities. When I went to Vegas when I was in college, I do remember going into the MGM Grand Casino. And I don't know if it's still the same, but there was a live lion walking back and forth in front of his glass cage. The Mandalay Bay, just from the outside, this gold building all the way up. Still think it is such a cool building to this day because of its color and its shininess. This isn't a casino, but when I went to Vegas when I was in college, we went into the M&M store. I remember the towers of M&Ms, of the colors, of just stripes of M&M colors going all the way up to the ceiling and a really tall ceiling. So that was a fun store. Definitely a good one for kids, I think. The Bellagio. This one is iconic. It is like one of the #1 things you have to do in Vegas. And a lot of it comes down to their fountains. They start it around 3 p.m. and I think they end around midnight, and it's either every 30 or 15 minutes. So as you're walking the strip, you'll probably catch a show by the Bellagio. It's awesome during the day, it's awesome at night. And then inside of the Bellagio, they have the Chihuly glass where he hand blew all of those shapes on top of the ceiling. And then they have the Bellagio Conservatory and Botanical Garden. And this changes seasonally. We've been there when it's like springtime. We've been there when the Chinese New Year display is still up and they're getting ready to take it down and change it. But very cool things. And it's absolutely beautiful. The first time that I went to the Bellagio fountain ever, there was a man up on the wall dancing in his underpants. And I was just like, this place, Vegas is such a crazy place. That's super dangerous, don't do it. The Venetian is awesome, you go inside, the ceilings are painted like it's daylight outside, and the boats at the Venetian are going through the Grand Canal, and it just goes all through the casino, and you can pay to take a ride. Anyways, it just makes you dream of being in Venice. The Caesar's Palace has a lot of fountains. I have seen the Three Graces fountain, Fountain of the Gods, and the Fall of Atlantis show. They also have the Trevi fountain outside, which is a replica of the one in Rome. They also have the Forum shops. The last time that we went there, I wanted to play Guess the Price Tag in the Balenciaga store. Well, they followed us around the whole time. And whatever, I still looked at a bunch of price tags just trying to see how much people pay for items that I would never pay that much for. At least not with my current budget. They probably took one look at our clothes and were like, these people do not shop here, and we know it. Another part that is not on the strip, nor a casino, but is downtown Las Vegas is Fremont Street. That is kind of like the old Las Vegas. It is downtown Las Vegas. And it's a whole nother little area of just shops and just cool vibes, I guess you could say. So another area to go check out. Fremont Street is actually where I gambled $1, I think. And I think that might be all the money I've ever gambled in Las Vegas. And no, I didn't win. I put it in a slot machine. Of course I lost. Another one to look at, the Paris Casino. It has the Eiffel Tower, so a lot of people like to take the little I'm holding the Eiffel Tower or other pictures with the replica of the Eiffel Tower that casino had. There's also the Excalibur, and that is a medieval theme castle kind of casino. And there's also like knights in shining armor inside of the casino, as decor. Luxor, that is that Egyptian pyramid that you see outside, and it's black. It's Egyptian themed inside, and it has hieroglyphics on stone walls inside. And again, at the end of the strip, you have the Strat, or used to be the Stratosphere Tower. So you can still go up into the observation tower, which is the highest freestanding observation tower in the US. And it also had, for a little bit, the highest roller coaster in the world.
Another one that's a lot of fun is the Mirage, which has a volcano show at night, and it goes from 8 p.m. to midnight every hour.
Things that are really cool that I have heard of, that I haven't been to, that are on the list for the future sometime. The Chandelier Bar in the Cosmopolitan Casino of Las Vegas. Supposedly it's 3 floors, 3 stories of a chandelier, and each one has a lounge. Circus, they have an indoor acrobatic show. Supposedly it's really good, and supposedly it's free. The Wynn, the Lake of Dreams, it also has a night show that is supposed to be really cool and supposed to be free. The Link has the High Roller, so it's very iconic. You'll see it when you're on the strip, the circle that goes around and around. The Neon Museum is definitely on the list. It is the Las Vegas sign graveyard, and it also operates during the daytime and at the nighttime. The nighttime tickets are more expensive, but that's also when all the neon signs are lit up. The Mob Museum, which that is in a historic courthouse, and it shows like the dynamics between organized crime and law enforcement and the fight and struggles that they had. So want to check that out sometime as well to understand more of the history of Vegas and how it evolved, and probably all of the stories that you wouldn't hear unless you went somewhere like that. Shows just might be my favorite thing in Vegas. The first one I ever went to was Cirque du Soleil's Mystere. I really liked that show because I had dreamed of going to see a Cirque du Soleil show for years and years and years and years. And they did not disappoint. Acrobatics, dancing, amazing things. The concept of the story was hard for me to understand, as it was very avant-garde, I guess you could say. Katy Perry was in Vegas. We got to go see her show play when she was at the Resorts World. I thoroughly loved the show, thoroughly loved the concert. She's definitely a glorious performer that brings a lot of fun and entertainment to her shows. If there's someone there that is doing a residency and you like them, definitely try to go to that show. All right, that takes us to Blue Man Group at the Luxor. This one, I had actually wanted to see Blue Man Group for years because of videos I had seen online and things. I thought it was gonna be like a stomp performance, very rhythmic with drums and everything. The part I didn't expect was the humor part, and I didn't quite get the humor of most of it. We'll just put it that way. My recommendation would be like a 10 to 12-year-old boy. I think that is the perfect show for them. I think they would totally get it, and I would not get that. Another one, as I covered in a short this week, was the Las Vegas Sphere. I got to see Wizard of Oz, the movie, and it was trippy. The original Wizard of Oz obviously was filmed in both black and white and Technicolor. And Google, on the ending credits, Google was a major player in helping this thing come to life. The colors are fabulous. The AI is insane. And the way they format it to fit an enormous bulbous curved screen is absolutely incredible. And again, the special effects were cool. Similar to what you would see at Disneyland if you've been to their like 3D movies. And I think there's a lot of it online, but I try not to say too much because if you go, I want you to be surprised and have fun, because I feel like it's kind of a giveaway and it's not as fun when you know that there's certain effects that take place. But again, those speakers on the wall, that was so crazy and mind-blowing, because I sat there and when we got in and I was just like waiting for the show. And to me, it just looked like an auditorium with a stage and a curtain across with those big hanging speakers. And Yeah, when Chris pointed out that those speakers weren't real, I truly didn't believe him until the show started. Because I was like, okay, yeah, the curtain's not real, the curtain's not blowing at all, because, you know, if you sit at a live theater, the curtain blows when, you know, the air moves around in the room. So the curtain didn't move. So I was like, okay, he's right about the curtain. That is a fake curtain. So I just thought it was like gonna be maybe the whole thing, but that those speakers were real. Like, those are like a fixture that they just couldn't move, like when you go to a concert in an arena. Like, you have to have speakers. No, they were lights. That blew my mind. Like, they had just the little cords coming down and the angle of them. To wherever you sit, they look like a perfect angle and an optical illusion. That kind of stuff was super trippy. As well as the outside of the sphere. Wild. I mean, when you look at it from above on a plane or from the ground, it just looks like a TV screen. Like a massive circular TV screen. But when you get up close, it's like these little buttons of light everywhere. It's just so wild. It's so unreal. That part blew my mind too. So yeah, those surprises of the sphere were probably more interesting to me than the actual show, just because my mind was like, what? How? And then the show, I had heard some of the special effects and things, so I knew kind of what to expect, which was a little sad because it made it less exciting, but still it was fun to see such an iconic movie come to life in a totally new way, in the most modern of ways, in the new era. So, lastly, the last show that I'm going to tell you about that I've been to is by far my favorite show I have ever been to in my life. So Vegas gets the credit for that, my favorite show I've ever been to, and my first time trying Ethiopian food. So those are two massive memories that Vegas, thank you so much for, that I will treasure for the rest of my life. The Bellagio, obviously, a heavy hitter casino. This show also is in the Bellagio. And this show was called O, and it was again a Cirque du Soleil show. And in French, O means water. This show blew my mind. But this show, where it adds the water element, was everything. I think I came home and made a list of all of the type of people that they would have to cast in that show to make that show come to life, because it was like 20 different things just for onstage actors or dancers. But it was like divers, gymnasts, contortionists, acrobats, comedians, scuba divers, different types of dancers. And now, you know, it's been a while, but I was just like, holy cow. I couldn't believe the stage blew my mind, because the stage went up and down. So the water would get shallow, and they did this like African Sahara scene where they danced and they splashed the water around with like their feet of a few inches of water. But then it got super deep. So the divers were diving from this, like the things that drop down from the ceiling. The show was everything. To date, it is still my favorite show my absolutely favorite show that I've ever been to in my life. I was just floored, and I loved it so much. I highly, highly recommend, if you get the chance to go to O and you're interested in dancing, swimming, and oh yeah, synchronized swimmers was like another one. What was the other one? Someone that like, I think they like either held their hair or like their teeth with a ring. I mean, mind blowing. I loved it from start to finish, and just phenomenal, totally blown away. Still to this day can't comprehend the quantity of talent and choreography and instruction that went into just getting this show ready. So I was so happy that I got to see it. Yeah, so highly recommend that show. All right, now we're gonna move on to other places. So, as I wore today my Vegas shirt, see, Las Vegas, Nevada, the Red Rock Canyon National Conservation Area. Anyways, this I also showed in a short this week. Highly recommend this place if you need a break from the strip. We definitely have done that when we have gone. We've basically skipped the strip in the day, just gone to a show or dinner at night, and just gone and done the recreational activities nearby. So, Red Rock Canyon, you do need a timed entry permit seasonally, so we didn't know that ahead of time. We were there during the winter months when you need the permit, and luckily we had enough service that we could drive out like 5 minutes and then do it, and I think it was around $20 to $25 for the permit for the day. Very well worth it. They do have signs about tortoises. There are alerts for tortoises to check your car so you don't crunch a tortoise when you drive away. We did the Calico Tanks hike. That one was really good. We loved it. Great views of Vegas. Cool rocks with water, mirror kind of views. We also liked the other hikes that we did, where we went and saw the little waterfall and the petroglyphs. Yeah, so, and then there's plenty of other hiking areas to do. The time you don't need the timed entry permit is in summer. Surprise, surprise. Because it's hot, so there's probably not very many people there if you go then. Springs Mountain National Recreation Area is also nearby. It in the valley is about 3,000 feet elevation, and it goes up to just below, I think it's 11,918 feet of elevation for Mount Charleston or Charleston Peak. And yeah, so quite the vast difference. We did the long scenic drive and we stopped in at the ski lodge, but the drive was absolutely stunning. The views were incredible. It was covered in snow because we were there in winter, and that was, I believe that was the same year that the Sierras got dumped with snow. So maybe it was more snow than usual, but that high up, it's got to be pretty usual for them to get a lot of snow, I would imagine. Also, if you like speed, when you're driving in from the south end from California, Speed Vegas is there. You can go on a ride, and I believe you can also drive. And these are like high performance, expensive cars. Our friends did it and they loved it. They did where they rode with the driver and they took a video of themselves, but they were just screaming their guts out and laughing and stuff. And it was just a super wild ride for them. And it was just like a fun, cool experience. It's expensive because I think it's over $100 per person just to ride. Double check that, not 100% sure, but yeah, if you're into speed and that's your thing, go splurge, man. Go do a Speed Vegas opportunity. Also nearby is the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So check for events, see if something's up your alley, and go see that. And then obviously they're on a speed thing because Formula One, they now have a contract with them. And as I mentioned in the short of the Sphere, they were setting up for Formula One, so a lot of the streets were closed and there was all this equipment going up in the middle of the streets. So it was pretty wild to see that kind of like behind the scenes before it happened for Formula One. Other areas nearby, one of my favorite stops, if you're going from California to Vegas, or if you're leaving Vegas and headed to California, stop at Seven Magic Mountains. It's an art installation of bright colored rocks stacked on each other. And it's just a fun photo op area, and it's free. So you just get off the freeway, drive a couple miles, but you can see it from the freeway, so at least look for it if you're driving that route. Cute, massive art installation. Also, Lake Mead National Recreation Area, large lake outside of Vegas, boating, camping, jet skiing, fun water activities. The Hoover Dam, awesome experience. Really cool to go down into the dam and realize how far down you are. I definitely recommend it. Cool views of the dam and the water passing through. And again, just outside of Vegas. Another one that I've wanted to see is Valley of Fire State Park. There's camping, petroglyphs, petrified trees, and a ton of red rock from what I understand. So definitely check that out if you're in the area, and that is on the Utah side. So if you're going from Vegas to Utah, it will be in that direction. So sometimes that can be cheaper are January and February, because not a lot of people are traveling during that time. Also in the summer, it could be a little cheaper sometimes because it is so hot. And also on weekdays, and kind of like the swing before the holidays hit. So like September when school has started into like November, before the holidays hit, those kind of, or around, scheduling around conventions and massive events as well. So you could pick up a hotel or show deal that would be less expensive than during the times when everybody's going to Vegas. So what do you need to pack to go to Vegas? Well, it just depends on what kind of Vegas you're gonna do. If you're gonna do outdoor stuff, remember to bring your hiking boots and water and electrolytes no matter what time of year. And like salty snacks and healthy snacks for the trail. If you're gonna do indoors and casinos, you probably wanna go with a more dressy vibe, although a lot of what I've done in Vegas, I have worn pedestrian clothes. And that is a massive thing for me in cities. Typically, I want a comfortable shoe that I can just walk for miles in, because typically I end up preferring to walk because it's much easier than doing all of the logistics of reparking or finding public transit. I'm just like, cool, I'll just walk. And I just bring cozy shoes. And hey, a lot of people do something fancier on top and something more comfortable, on their shoes or whatnot. And that's totally cool too. So my biggest tip for a solo traveler would be, if you did not schedule any shows, but you would like to see a show while you were in Vegas, go talk to some of the box offices day of, see if they have any tickets left. Because when you book concerts online, you'll see where there's one seat left in multiple areas. So if you're a solo traveler, you might be able to get a really great deal last minute on a show that you maybe really might enjoy. And shows are endless, by the way. You can always find some show going on in Vegas. My biggest tip for a couple going into Vegas is, I would say, pick and choose what you want to splurge on and pick and choose what you want to save on. Because a really romantic dinner at a well-known or fancy place, amazing chef, restaurants that are owned by celebrities or celebrity chefs, and they can be a really cool romantic spot to add to your trip. So just pick and choose. Pick what you want, pick what you don't want, and be good with your budget. That's my best. And if you want to gamble, come up with a budget where you say, this is our budget for gambling. We each get this much. Once it's gone, we walk away. Because it'll be gone. Unless you're really good at gambling, it'll be gone. Or unless you're extremely lucky, which is what Vegas is all about, that one little bit of luck. My biggest tip for a family would be, if you're gonna go to the Strip, focus on the daytime. That's when you can get in the casinos more, where there's less weird things going on in the street, I guess I would say. But yeah, there's fun things that definitely I would have no problem taking a kid to, like if MGM still has the Lion and the M&M store and Wizard of Oz at the Sphere, and one that I can highly recommend as well that I haven't been to in Vegas, but I have been to one of these, Meow Wolf. Holy cow, super amazing museum. Art museum, kind of blows your mind, makes you feel like a kid when you're an adult. And yeah, I would say just focus on positive things like that, as well as the outdoors. And again, if you're in charge of a group, make sure you have water for them, comfortable shoes for them, an extra change of clothes. You know the deal. You've already been dealing with it. Anyways, I really hope that this overview of Las Vegas has helped everyone. Comment, tell me things that you've seen that I have never seen. Tell me what more is in Vegas that next time I drive through that I should make a point to stop at. If this information helped you, this is just the starting point of this channel. We have so many places to cover. Please subscribe
and have safe travels.